exciting. I have to admit, I've been traveling and I'm just really hyper and excited. So, hey, Kim, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. A little noisy here because we've got some construction going on, so you guys might hear me or not hear me sometimes. Just I'll be on mute. But go ahead.
All right. Well, we're going to make this happen. This is one of my favorite topics today. I'm so excited that we're talking about the medicine wheel. And the reason why I love this topic so much is because, well, I think we're going to talk about how to live life. And to me, this isn't an ancient mystical secret as much as it's a awesome tool on how to live. I mean, what a great thing to have this medicine wheel, this great information on how to live on our earth walk or our journey here on earth. And so I thought that this would be a great time to, first of all, let's see what a medicine wheel looks like. Medicine wheels are something that are from indigenous cultures, and I actually, um, I'm going to say that the ones that we're going to look up the most are going to be the ones that are from, excuse me, that are in our North American friends, we'll say. The indigenous, the Native Americans here is where the medicine wheels that we're going to talk about. Um, so that will be the start. And here is a picture of my favorite medicine wheel in Sedona. And this is a super old, ancient medicine wheel. Yes, you can see the beautiful Sedona red rocks there. This is a traditional medicine wheel in the fact that the opening is in the east, and then you can see the very center part of where that's where all the extra healing and things go through. Now, there's also medicine wheels. We'll pull up the next one that are that show different spokes of the wheels. Oh, yeah, you look, you guys get to see all my stuff too. Isn't that fun? Um, and this other medicine wheel, here we go. This one, well, I did a little overlay on it, but do you see the right here how it's broken up into 4 quadrants, right? So these 4 quadrants also represent, well, everything. The 4, oh, it didn't show up when I pulled it up. All right, that's okay. We'll leave this one here and we'll go with this. This is a really old medicine wheel, but there's also medicine wheels that have spokes in it that break it up into quadrants. And I've also seen medicine wheels that have a third wheel on the inside. I got into medicine wheels probably about 10 years ago, and was really fortunate to have a wonderful tour guide take me through Sedona. And we went through, I think, 3 or 4 different medicine wheels. There's one behind the stupa. There's a modern one that's set up within some resorts. And then this particular one that you see on the screen, this one was hidden in what they call the airport area. This area is now closed and blocked off. There used to be a giant cross up there too. But the cross is gone and the government or the state has taken over the area. But I did find a way a couple years ago to go back and see this, and this wheel does still exist. So, the medicine wheel, as I said, is actually a tool for us to use. It's a way for us to understand how to live life. And it does start in the East. And so, I'm going to just say something, and I don't mean it in a negative way, but we have become separated from our own history, right? And the best way that I can show in the medicine wheel that we've been separated from this knowledge. So, Kim, if I were to ask you, could you tell me the directions what are the directions? How would you say what are the directions? Would So I guess it's because we're having. Oh yeah, there she is. So if I were to ask you, could you name the four directions? Could you name me the four
Well,
directions?
they're north, south, east, and west.
See, she did it perfectly. Thank you.
Oh,
All right. You said north and south and east and west. Okay. So that is my perfect example of how we've been disconnected from our own tools and our own spiritual understanding. When we say north and south and east and west, we just detached the medicine wheel. When actually the four directions are east, and then we go to the south, and then we go to the west, and then we go to the north. And there's the fluidity of it. And so, us awesome humans have disconnected our medicine wheel and we've disconnected our flow by saying north, south, east, west. When actually, even logically, it goes
yes,
east,
absolutely. It's
south,
always in the circle.
west,
Uh-huh.
north.
Yeah,
Yes. All right. So, again, just showing how others above us in our past have disconnected us from nature, has disconnected us from who we really are.
absolutely.
So,
The funny thing about that is that I actually know that about the medicine wheel, which I only discovered in the past 2 weeks, but still, my brain still went to north, south, east, and west.
right, right. So there are no right or wrongs, but it's just that very simple example of how our um, our lives are so interwoven with
Mhm.
the past, and that how we are disconnected from
Eh,
ourselves and we become disconnected from nature.
mm.
So a medicine wheel opens in the east. Well, why would that be? Well, because the east is the sunrise. The east is the beginning of the day. The east is where we start all of the things. And so when we look at the wheel itself, and again, some of the wheels, my girlfriend built a fantastic wheel in Forest Falls, California, and hers has the perfect quadrants. And the quadrants again represent, you ready? Four seasons. Okay, so we have our four directions, we have our four seasons, and again, it talks about the fluidity of life. And so, with this fluidity of life, we can understand that everything really is in the flow of the hoop or the wheel, and that life is a cycle and it just keeps going around and around. And you can even notice this cycle of things going around and around in trends. Um, yeah, in any type of trend. I could find the cycle of the day where it was maybe a little bit more up and then it kind of got a little slower. When I worked in restaurants, I could look at the trend for the year and you could kind of see, oh, well, this is peak season and then we're going to slow down and we go into, in New Orleans and in Palm Springs, the summer was the slow season. And then you'd get picked back up on the wheel and you'd go around. So the hoop or the wheel is seen everywhere. It's not just seen in these, beautiful ancient grounds, but it really is a tool for life. I thought that I would just give a little bit of a quote from my favorite cards by Jamie Sams. And I'm just going to read directly from her book of her shaman cards, or excuse me, the Sacred Path cards, The Discovery of Self Through Native Teachings by Jamie Sams. Her cards, her books are my absolute favorite and I'm really, really excited. Ah, the new picture didn't pop up. Oh, hey, Kay, look, we got a little gang out there today. How wonderful. So we're just going to read a little bit of this and then I'm going to tell you my experiences with medicine wheels and how I've been able to use them and have them I don't know, use them as a guide. It's this whole idea of understanding that, what goes up is going to come down. But the thing is that the down doesn't have to be so down. It it's that medium pace that we're looking for. It's about keeping those waves of up and down to a really nice average. So, the medicine wheel is also called the sacred hoop. This is the symbol of all life cycles that has given people of Native America an evolutionary blueprint for centuries. Again, an awesome tool that is always valid. Each cycle of life is honored in a sacred way, giving us a way to see the value of our step of our path and a new understanding of growth and patterns. Just as all people and their gifts are honored as living turtles, living treasures of the tribe, so are the life lessons they learn. When tribal members share the wisdom granted from the actual experience, the whole nation benefits from the stories that are passed along the different clans. To understand each person's unique experience in a way for the other members to see the theme of the same lesson. The medicine wheel is the circle of lessons that each person must pass through to complete their journey on the good red road of physical life. It is all of our journeys. It's not a journey just for certain people or of just the Native American culture. It's your journey as much as it is my journey. And everybody has a medicine wheel or a hoop that we go through all day long. Our spirit is made up of wind, which is one of the four clans of this world. The spirit can travel the rim of the medicine wheel, again, the outside of it, where we walk around in a sacred fashion and we ask for our help. The East is the home of the golden door, the entry point of all awareness and consciousness. Spirits of the ancestors who have finished their earth walk leave in the north of the wheel and follow the rim of the hoop to the east. This allows them to pass through the golden door and enter into the blue road of the spirit, which crosses the wheel of the east to the west. And so she has a pretty picture here that, again, is that whole medicine wheel, but it's this whole concept that the four quadrants represent not only our four seasons, but it also represents the life cycle, right? And the four seasons are the life cycle. So we have the spring, and that's the east, that wind. We have the summer, which is hot and flames and fire and doing things. And then we have the west, which is fall, harvest time, right? Where we gather up our stuff. And then we go into the north, which is the winter, hibernation, and the end of the cycle as well. And then it starts back up in the spring. So when you see a traditional medicine wheel and you really want to experience it, all you have to do is actually find your sacred peace within you. Now, I've been pretty fortunate that I do a lot of hiking, and I have accidentally tripped upon medicine wheels before. And they're pretty obvious to me because you can see a beautiful path where people would walk around. And I was taught there's really no right or wrong way because it is about your journey. But we want to be a little bit respectful because, of course, we want to respect nature and our elders. So when you see a medicine wheel, don't just jump right into it. I mean, would you just go jump right into the narthex of a church? You're not allowed to. So we wouldn't just go jump right into the center of it. And I know things happen and you may accidentally fall into it. Well, if it's an accident, nobody's going to care, right? But we do want to have some reverence when we go to the wheel. And the wheel, again, represents all of life. So the messages that you can get in here could come from medicine animals, your totem animals. Of course, there's animals that are represented in all of the sides. This is also where we get colors. We have all the colors are represented here, the four main colors. I because I'm wearing my earphones, I didn't wear my hoop or my medicine wheel earrings, but this is a really great example of the quadrants and the colors that mark the quadrants that represent the seasons. So, if we look when we see the medicine wheel and we say, okay, I would like some healing, I would need some help, I would like some guidance. The first thing that you do is you have your offering. And of course, the ideal offering is always corn or grains, but it can be anything. It could be your love, it could be a song, it could be um, some crackers that you have in your pocket. But you slowly first walk around the wheel and you acknowledge the wheel, just like you acknowledge life. And when you do this, you have to start in the east. Again, that's where the sun starts. We don't have to make up these directions. We just follow nature. And so you give your offering, and as you walk around, and again, if you were taught a different way or you do it differently, you're right. You're right. There is no right or wrong other than the fact that we really don't want you to go step right into the very center at the very beginning. So as you walk the circle, this is where you connect. You find your breath. You connect into the earth. You ask Father Sky to come in. You listen for the animals around you. And you really allow that fluidity to flow through you. And so as you walk, you do feel the seasons as you walk. You I know that I feel like a little hot when I'm in the south. And then I feel kind of that water of the west. And then as I get up into the north in the grounding and the rocks, you feel more solid. And so as you walk around and then you get to the entrance again in the east, this is where you open your heart and you say, please, Earth, Father Sky, Mother Earth, guide me. And then you go into the circle and then you find your place to sit. And there is no right or wrong place to sit. So you go to the area where you're sitting, and that's going to be your first message. Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, Rachel, this is great. We're walking in a circle, and now we're in the circle. Well, wherever you end up landing, let's see if I can, there we go. Wherever you end up landing within the circle here is going to tell you what is happening in your life. All right. So let's say, for example, you walk over and you're sitting in the West. Well, the West is about change. Maybe you're traveling. The West is about the fall, right? So things are in transition and you're in your harvest. It's time for you to gather what you have. Maybe you walk and you find yourself in looking at your let's see, northeast. You're really not in the north and you're kind of more in the east. Maybe you're at the end of a project. Maybe you're at the end of completing a cycle of something that you've been working on. So where you end up sitting, as you're guided to when you go in, is going to give you a whole nother lesson of information. And then not only can you look at what direction it is, But then you can go and see what color that quadrant meant. And you can see what medicine animal is associated with that. The coyote is in the west. Are you tricking yourself, or are you being honest with yourself? Let's see, to build a medicine wheel for a sacred ceremony use, they use 12 stones are needed. So you can build your own medicine wheel as well. We'll get back to that. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. I get all excited when I wake up without any sleep. So, in the wheel itself, once you sit down and you do your meditation, and hey, Dawn, and you actually feel your connection into the land, and you can always look to see where you're at and make a mental note and then go look up the information later. You don't always have to try to analyze things while you're in the middle of a meditation or in the middle of a medicine wheel. And that's actually something good for all of spirituality. If you are in the middle of a great meditation, whether you're sitting in a medicine wheel or you're sitting in an Egyptian pyramid or you're in your bedroom, and you come across something that you really are trying to understand, what does this symbolically mean? What does this mean? Don't do it while you're in the meditation. Hold on to it and then go digest it later. If you get stuck on a symbol or on a picture or one image while you're in meditation, you're going to lose the overall message. So it's always good to just take the information and hold on to it and receive while you're in these places. So when you're in the wheel, receive the information. Don't try to analyze it. Notice what animal comes to you. Notice what birds you hear, but don't get caught in thought of, oh, why, that's a hawk. That's a predator. That's a prey bird. What does that mean? Because then you're going to lose what all the messages are that are for you. I hope that makes sense to you. I want you to be able to experience being in a sacred spot. I want you to experience all of the guides and all the information they have for you instead of getting lost in thought, because then that brings us back to our human ego. You can analyze that. You can read more about it later when you're not in the experience. So that's just a little Rachel side note, not just for medicine wheels, but when you're doing anything sacred, any sacred circle, any meditation, even in your dreams, don't try to stop and analyze it in the middle of a dream. Allow it to flow. And again, we'll talk about how you can make your own medicine wheel anywhere that you are. So you're in the wheel, you take note of where you're sitting, what direction you're facing, right? You can face any direction in there. So see, there's a lot of levels that we can really go deep in understanding a situation or a problem that we're asking about when we're in a wheel or the hoop. And so we're in there, we do our request, we see our medicine animals, we understand what direction we're facing, and we begin to receive the information from Mother Earth. After some time, if there's others with you, you may be given a talking stick, and you may be requested to, tell, what do you feel at this moment? Do you want to talk it out? I've been in medicine wheels with people and without people, and I find that both times I end up talking out loud. Um, because, well, I am a talker and I'm a little bit of a loudmouth anyway, but I really like to express what I'm feeling. And I have full conversations with, the plants or the trees, the medicine animal that came to me, or even just Gaia. I'll talk to Mother Earth. And when it was my turn to talk and I had my talking stick, I would express how I felt. And it was as though, well, I guess I just realized this. It was like talk therapy. Except for my counselor was nature, not Freud, where I would be able to talk out with nature what my problem was, what my drama was, what my issue was. And as I would go through it, either more animals would show up or I would see different colors. Maybe the sky would even change a little because the cloud coverage. I would get the information I needed. And after I would have this moment in the wheel and could really feel it, depending on where I was at. Now, I have had some amazing healing happen to me. And one of the things is, growing back an ovary. And when I've been really sick, I have gone into the very center of the wheel. And that's like the narthex of the church. That's the really super sacred part. And you go in there when you need that. When you are super depressed, when you are out of sorts, when you need that true guidance, you can go into that center point. And that would be the last thing that you do. There's people that I know that have stood or sat in that center port for hours and thought that they were only in there for a few minutes, because all time and space stops within the medicine wheel. You are in a point where you are truly connected into source, where you're truly connected into the nature, into this third dimensional world that we call Earth. So that center point is where you go when you really need that super healing, when you really need that extra prayers. And it's for everyone it's different. But for me, I didn't even know where I was at. I could feel my feet as though they were roots of the trees. And I could feel my roots going clear down into earth. And I could feel when I rooted down that the energy of earth shot up from me. And then I felt just like the standing people. And my arms were branches, and the leaves would come and blow throughout, and I would spread my love. And I felt so tall. I know I'm only 5'3", but for that moment, you just felt so strong, so confident, like that oak tree. And I could feel the love of everything, the energy, the animals, the plants, the rocks, the stone people, all of it supporting me, holding me. And that's when I realized that, nature just wants the best for you. Earth just wants you to have fun. Not Earth and nature and God does not want us to suffer, does not want us to be in any pain. I am sorry about the tears, but the message is that we're supposed to be in joy. And when I get into the wheel, into that center point, it's not that they feel sad for us, but that they don't understand why we can't find happiness because it should be so simple, because everything around us is so beautiful. So, for me, in that center point, connecting was as though a oneness, as though a true being, a part of everything. After you're in the center point, of course, you have to bow and give your thanks. And I have a bow that I do that is more of a Asian descent than of a Native American. But again, there is no right or wrong as long as you're using your respect and you are really feeling what it is that you are led to do in that moment. You can give another offering then again. And what I did after I got out of the center point is I found myself singing and dancing through the circle. Sometimes it was nonsense. Sometimes it was just shimmying, and maybe I was doing some semantic and zzz, getting the bees on me, or feeling the snakes, releasing it, But it was such an energy that would come out, a gratefulness, a thank you, a freedom. And maybe what it was is I was shaking out what I no longer needed, or I was buzzing out what was time to leave. I would do whatever I was guided to or led to, but it was always joyous after being in that center point. And I do mean joyous. It really was as though every cell in my being was connected and I was one with everything again. And after you do your song and your dance and you give it up, well, of course, then you exit out the golden door to the east. You always go in through the east and we walk around and, we go through the north and then we exit out the east. And that is, again, the respectful, proper way. If you do it wrong, you're going to be forgiven. There's not going to be any penance. But you just acknowledge it and say, I'm going to do it right the next time. You don't walk out of the wheel. You don't cross over the circle and, jump in and out. You're either in it or you're not. And it is just this really super awesome space. So it is something, again, that you can make in your own home. I have one here in my room. In my house in Palm Springs, I had set up a couple outside. And it really does start by, well, my favorite thing, you got to go collect some rocks. You need to get some stone people. And the rocks are yours. You don't have to go buy them. You can go find them. Does the size matter? Absolutely not. It's just something that you feel connected to. And so when you do it, you start with your 12 stones. Now, of course, you add to it all that you want and you can increase it, and the size doesn't matter either. But you start with your 12 stones and you lay them out by the directions. So, of course, the first two stones are going to go in the east. And then you're going to have your next two stones in the... Anyone? Anyone? Oh, yeah, that's right. You're not talking back to me. We would go into the south. And then we put our next two stones for the west. And then we would go to the north. And then we would stick our stones in the center. And that's our point to go from around. Now, of course, if you're going to do a very traditional ceremonial one, getting in a shaman to actually lay them down properly is only going to elevate it all. And if you do it on the right time, I believe it's a new moon is supposed to be the new beginnings if you build your medicine wheel on a new moon. And, of course, then you can bring in the sage and clearing and really make it into a beautiful ceremony and make it into something that's yours. right? So it's not that we're disrespecting tradition, it's that we're actually bringing it and integrating it into our life. So if you get some books like Jamie Sam's, and there's some fantastic books. There's also The Medicine Wheel by I think it's Grandmother Spider. She wrote another beautiful book about the medicine wheels, where you can really ceremonially and traditionally build it the proper way. Again, what I'm telling you is a lot of my own experiences and parts and pieces. So is it absolutely proper and correct? No, no, in no way whatsoever. But I'm telling you that it's something that you should experience and feel, because it really has changed my life. It really means a lot to me of understanding how life is so cyclical, and how when we live, we know that, hey, today is so great. Well, what if we, instead of making it up here, bring it down to the middle so that the next day doesn't feel like it's down here? But if we're here, then we have a constant flow. All right. So, what else can we talk about with the medicine wheel? The medicine wheel is about the time of cycles and movement. You are asked to notice which stage of the cycle you are presently experiencing. Is it the beginning, creation, growing time, developing, or is it the end of a cycle? How you look where you are will assist you in clarifying what you need to do next. We talked about that. Where are you sitting at? It asks you to go on notice for where your roots have taken. Don't get caught in old patterns. Notice the direction of the wheel will assist you to move forward and apply the lessons to your life. Your choices are illumination and clarity in the east, faithfulness and humility in the south, introspection and goals of the west, wisdom and gratitude of the north. It is time to decide for yourself which type of movement will keep your wheel turning. In the case of the medicine wheel, it assures you that life always continues forward. When we seek answers in the medicine wheel, we are seeking the answers of the void where the future lives. Life becomes extraordinary and exciting and filled with beauty. The mundane awareness of daily living melts away when we pause to the sense of adventure offered by the constant message brought by the four winds of change. Everywhere we look, life is calling. Each moment is packed full of life forms that seek to align with us two-legged creatures. We are the only creatures who have lost our sense of being to the total creation of the great mystery. And understanding the lessons of the sacred hoop, we learn to touch life in a deeper, more gentle way. The understanding comes from a way of living, being, and thinking. To live the path of the medicine wheel, we are asked to see the gifts of growth that each of us offer in the directions, if only by noticing the obvious around us, asking our inner feelings and acknowledging that what we mean to follow, and we begin seeking. The association with the four directions are made through using the connection of the totem animals, the medicine animals. In connecting the lessons of the eagle, coyote, bear, and buffalo are the counterparts for those directions. We may see the lessons they offer, and asking the answers that they bring us by giving us permission to come into our dreams, we may come to the place of inner knowing. In many Native American traditions, the mention of the sacred hoop becoming the whole again has left a question in the reader's mind. How has the hoop broken? The hoop was never broken. We're the ones that get broken. The faith of all nations have kept the eternal flame alive in the heart since the beginning of time. The sacred hoop is growing stronger because those who were red people in other lives are now remembering their roots and coming together from different pathways to preserve Mother Earth and reconnect the spirits of nature. When we, as children of the earth, lose our sense, we fit into the medicine wheel of life. We lose sight of the unified circle and how to live in a sacred manner. Our native nations are gathering the teachings, preparing us for the way for the fifth world of peace to return to ceremony, ritual, and using the wisdom of the ancestors to heal any old wounds and bitterness. The spirit of the people is returning. The whirling rainbow of peace is mending our heart. So, it is through this medicine wheel that we are elevating to the fifth dimension. Did it turn back into woo woo? Did we come back into the age of Aquarius? We sure did. So, by connecting into the medicine wheel and feeling the energy and understanding the lessons of the medicine animals, we connect ourselves back into nature, which is connecting our collective consciousness and collecting us as humans into the whole process again. And that is how we find what I like to call free society. Some people call it the age of Aquarius. They also call it what did you call it? The whirling rainbow of peace for the fifth world. This is how we speak to nature once again. All right, so I've talked a whole heck of a lot. You got any questions, Kim, or anything? Because I think I have either given people good information on the medicine wheel or really
I love that you
confused.
mentioned how it connects us all and how it connects us to the earth, which means it connects us all because we're all connected to the earth. And I love that constant reminder that yes, we have to grow and serve our own growth, but it must serve the whole. Otherwise, to me, to my understanding, if it doesn't serve the whole, it also does not serve us. But that's a beautiful
Yes,
joy. It's a joy, you know?
it's right.
Yeah.
It's an awesome tool to help us disconnected beings
Hmm.
connect back in to the whole.
Hmm.
And it's super important that we connect back into nature because, well, let's be really honest, she's kind of pissed off at us. I mean, they're calling it global warming, but it's really her saying, hey, people, hey, 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 what about me? Remember me? I'm the one that's giving you this oil that you guys are all complaining about. Yeah, yeah, me. That's me. I'm the
Yeah.
one that's providing your weather and your water. Yeah, yeah. You're screwing me by throwing all your trash and giving me all your plastic pollutants in here. Right, right. We're the one that's raping her. We're the one that's kicking her ass and beating her up. She's a little tired of it. And so we're going to have natural disasters because that's the only way she can get our attention to say, hey, 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 me, me. I'm the one that gives you the life and the love, your food, right? So we need to connect to her. We need to respect her just as much as we need to respect ourselves because that is the fifth world. That is the fifth dimension. That is the peace. And, these glaciers are melting. Shit's gonna hit the fan. Oh, wait a minute. It already has. We had a pandemic that came from bats, right? Is that nature? I think it is. So, this is Rachel. I'm saying find your medicine wheel within you, find that medium pace, understand that the animals around you are just giving you messages and they're just trying to help you connect, and know that if you do something wrong, like maybe you jumped out of the hoop or you cut across, you just have to acknowledge it, apologize, and move forward. Don't hold on to it because Earth is going to forgive us. God forgives us. Source forgives us. Nobody's keeping score but us humans. All right. Well, I wish you a beautiful moment of now, and we look forward to having you here again with us. Any other thoughts, Kim, as I again maybe overtalked and got a little emotional today?
No, we're good. It's all good. And it was a great show. So thank you, Rachel, because you did do most of the talking.
All right. Well, thank you all of our friends who are watching, and we look forward to seeing you next week. And I think we'll probably continue along with medicine animals since we stepped into the wheel, and we'll talk about what is it that the medicine animals have to teach us, and what are totem animals, and do we only have one, or do we have several, and do we get stuck with the same one, or do we get others? Who knows? You're going to have to watch to find out.
Dun, dun, dun. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being with us. It's a pleasure to be with you as well. Bye.